like, you got to nourish the kids.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have role models. We lost all of them during the AIDS epidemic. Like, we were stigmatized and we were erased and then we were deleted. And our histories are only tragic.
Yeah.
And that's only been perpetuated by queer history and cinema. No queer story ends positively.
Yeah.
And only things that we can relate to are the villains.
Yeah.
I love being a villain. Yeah.
And there's so much queer joy, like you said, so it's
Yeah.
important that we archive some of that in our history, so everyone is 20 years down, 30 years down, they can see, okay, this happened, but then it got better eventually.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
Okay. Hi, guys.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Welcome to Tutu's podcast in partnership with Adidas. Thank you so much for coming. This is episode 118, so this will be on our Spotify for everybody to listen to. But thank you so much for coming. Yes, welcome. Hi. Yeah. Hi, my name is Nana. I forgot to introduce myself. Introduce myself. My name is Nana.
And I'm Rose.
And we are Tutu's podcast. Thank you so much. And we have a special guest in the building, Ryan Angie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, it's my absolute pleasure.
Yes. Now, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit to the people? I'm sure people know you because you are fabulous.
Thank you.
But introduce yourself to the people.
I am the host of BBC Three's new television show called The Big Proud Party Agency that's airing tonight. So make sure whoever's listening to it now goes on iPlayer and watches all of the episodes. But also, some of my pride and joys in my career are creating Hungama, which is East London's queer alternative Bollywood night. And I am very proud to be here with Adidas, supporting and creating the collective called NDYS, which stands for Not Dead Yet, which creates space for non-binary trans people of color in, I think, more white-centered gym spaces. Why did I put air quotes? It's just what it is.
True.
Yeah.
You went into it. We're going to talk about safe and inclusive spaces. We're going to get straight into it now.
Amazing.
So, as queer people, it's really important for us to be in spaces that are safe, inclusive, especially so we can be ourselves, be authentic, and just be fly. Do you know what I mean? All of us sitting here, all great. You know? We look amazing.
The
We look
ladies
amazing.
are Adidas, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this is what this space is all about. So if you want to talk about NDY a little bit, how it started and why it exists.
Well, I need to first say that growing up in East London, and I want to say growing up because I moved here when I was 23, and I've done everything from like serving pizza to selling watches at G-Shock to, that is not a paid partnership thing. That was just reality. They fired me because I didn't fit the brand, and I am okay with that. But
What does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, we need to get into that.
I was into all the vintage watches. I didn't want to wear the G-Shock.
Okay,
And then
fair
they were
enough,
like, so
yeah.
sorry, we need someone who's really into the Kanye collaboration. And I was like, whatever. So I just like sold all the watches they gave me for free on the street. And then I went to Paris. And that's how you
I
roll.
hear it, there's money to be made with it. I hear it, I actually hear it.
Anyways, aside from their little plug that they don't need, I worked so hard, and then I realized that East London, when you're not on your path or following your passion, what happens is you can get caught up in the nightlife. Like you go out a lot, and then you start like destroying your body and like doing things that you don't need to be doing when you're there to follow your dreams. So what I did was I got a job at a gym. And I was like handing out towels, and I just wanted to use the gym classes and use the trainers to nourish my body. And the only reason I know that that's what I did is because looking back, I can see that was a survival mechanism that I had. But what happened was during the pandemic, I just remembered all that muscle memory, being like, no, I need to move my body. I need to go for a run. I need to do a HIIT class. I need to do some yoga. And in this world now that we live in, it's all about mindfulness and meditation and having active rest. And then I just had a moment where I was like, whoa, I don't think queer people have that option. Like, we're all living in flat chairs. We've been exiled from our families. We have run away from home. Our friends all went home who could, and now we're just here suffering in isolation. So I was approached by someone who's incredible. Their name is Daniel Morgan, and they were like, we have this like incubator app thing that we're trying to build that basically is for people to like travel the world in groups and like organize their entire itinerary. And I was like, babe, it's a pandemic. No one can go anywhere.
Yeah.
I was like, what you need to do is start making sure that queer people are getting what they need. And he was like, how are we going to do that? Side note, he was obsessed with doing these things that he called gay jacking. And he would just like go to a gym with all of his gay friends and they'd take over the space. And I was like, cool, yeah, I'll come with you.
Yeah.
So I went to the first one and I was just like immediately triggered. I was immediately on the back of the room. I was immediately the only person of color. And I was like, Dan, we have a problem.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? It's like, this is what we need to fix. I was like, you have the privilege of paying for these classes that are extremely expensive, that do not support and prioritize queer people of color, non-binary, or trans people in this space. And we're all suffering in East London, and we have nothing to do. I was like, can you invest some of the money into hosting classes on Zoom with queer people of color trainers? He was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Unfortunately, Dan didn't stay with the business, so he just gave me a little lump sum of money that he had and said, go do this, because it sounds good. What are you going to call it? I said, NDY. And he said, why? I was like, because we're not dead yet. And this is not our first epidemic. I was like, we're going to survive, but we need to nourish the kids.
Yeah.
And so he handed it to me, so I will always shout him out. And what I did was I paid for all the coaches that I knew who were queer and of color to host a class committed every day for the entirety of lockdown. And we had meditation, we had stretching, we had central body movement, so you could like touch yourself if you were alone and you needed to have some sort of sensation. We did a high intensity interval training class. We did what is normally a spin class, but we just did it without a bike. So there's a lot of skiing. And we did a weights class, and the one that I'm most proud of is our weights class that we did in British Sign Language, because we had people who were on Zoom lifting weights on their own, and the whole class was done in sign language, so no one was speaking.
Right.
And it was during that time that I realized that we need to be nourishing people, and they need to be centered, and we're not doing it. I'm very proud to say that at the end of it, we had over 3,500 people around the world take the classes. We also did gong bath too, which was really fun. We had one person take it, and then they messaged us like 7 hours later going, I just woke up.
After 7 hours.
Sleep in the pandemic. But that's where NDY came from, and that is my baby, my pride and joy. And I am trying my best to take what we learned, that R&D, and take it into these gym spaces that are run by white people, run by cis straight men, and try to teach them that, listen, you can't prioritize Becky and Ken.
Yeah.
They need to learn, they need to unpack. And I've done the legwork, let me come in and do it.
Right.
So we take these gym spaces, and we turn the changing rooms into gender-neutral spaces. I make sure I verify the trainer, and we have an NDY team of like volunteers and people who work with me who come in and make sure everyone meets each other, greets each other, has a euphoric experience, and we help the trainers unlearn their bias.
I think it's really important to kind of note that when you do all these things and you make this space, and including making it do sign language as well, it gives you a certain like mental calm, and you're taking care of someone's mental health in those spaces as well, and it's a well-being thing, because like you said, you went into a space and your back was against the wall, and people get nervous to go into spaces that are fitness spaces and gyms, because you know, there's a lot of bravado in there, there's a lot of kind of even be myself, and you know, so I think it's really important that you did this, because I guess it made people feel comfortable and they have peace of mind, and at the end of the day, that's what we need.
But queer joy is so much more fun, especially in a fitness class. I mean, if you think about it, most people who go onto a mat are coming there because they have an addiction, or they have a weakness, a mental health weakness, or a physical weakness, and they're trying to get stronger. But as soon as you're there, your brain starts telling you what you're not capable of. I can't do the next push-up. I can't lift that weight. And you're there watching all these other people who have the privilege of being able to commit to it every day, doing it better than you. We as queer people are not told that we're good enough. And so what happens if you make a space where we're all equal and we're all seen? And tell everyone to smile, change the music, and make it better.
That part. I think this would be good for Nana because we started the gym.
Yes, I was going to go into that.
Sorry, babes.
We started the gym at the beginning of the year, and we went for a good solid 2.5 months. And we quit now, but
Dead.
We quit because you know the extra push-up wasn't coming.
The extra push-up. You know, Rosie would be like, "You can do it. You can do it." Like, look at my arms. They're skinny.
It takes commitment, and so this is where I found that there was a gap that I could create. So I obviously talked about Hungama and how it was my like very personal like a space that I created to engage the South Asian queer community. I was like, why don't we take the DJs from these nights, like Pussy Palace, Babes, Inferno, Hungama, and get them to play or curate playlists for the trainers, and promote it. So what we had were these club collectives that were creating intentional spaces where you're bringing everyone in to meet each other, but you're still harboring yourselves under the sound system culture that's quite destructive. Like you're only like a couple of conversations away from drugs or alcohol, and sobriety is not celebrated there. So what happens is the clubs say, hey, listen, you can also get a ticket to NDY when our DJ is going to be there. I was very, very proud that we were collaborating with Block, and we had Pussy Palace DJing, and I just, for some reason, I was like, hey, listen, everyone, who has been to Pussy Palace before? We had 20 people in the class, and only 3 people had gone.
No.
Yeah, and so that meant that there was like 17 people who did not have a sober option of
Yeah.
Pussy Palace. I mean, Pussy Palace is a sanctuary. I'm very proud of that. Nadine, previously Nadine Artois, who created that amazing genesis of a party that's changed the world, has helped with some of the internal infrastructure of NDY and its belief system. So I'm very proud to have them involved as well. But it was just a moment where I was like, queer club culture can transition into fitness.
Yes.
We just need to get everyone aligned.
Yeah, I think it's so important because a lot of the time when we talk about spaces, it's always club nights, it's always involving drinking.
Yeah.
And obviously me and Rosie, we provide spaces as well, but we do want to venture into things that aren't just not, drinking. We also want to have a space where people who don't drink, because there's so many people who go out, they don't drink, they don't enjoy that kind of like, lit turn up. It's a bit much sometimes, isn't it?
I mean, queer people don't just club.
Yes.
We also don't just go to an art gallery, and we don't just
Not the art gallery.
and if those are not an option, we don't do life drawing all the time.
Yeah.
Some of us can't draw.
I can't.
We need to create safe spaces.
Yeah.
And I think what's really important to note is that like through doing that, I started to realize that some people's stories and what they were going through, and trans people are being attacked left, right, and center on the streets. It is not safe for them to go home. We are not teaching them self-defense. We are not teaching them how to come and protect themselves in their body, or start working with the dysphoria in a space.
Yeah.
Like if a trans person is taking a boxing class, it could be because of the fact they're trying to align their masculine, feminine energy.
Definitely, yeah.
It's not about them having to protect themselves, but we're not giving them that space in all these gym spaces.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, talk about block.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to block, what days is it available? How do we find it? How do you book? How do you get a membership? Because I had a block membership.
Child.
Yes,
This is a pattern here, guys.
I'm still here for this.
yes, I had the one.
You're my case study.
Yeah,
You're not the next class. We're gonna have a
exactly.
problem.
So I had a block membership in Clapton,
Yeah.
and it's a nice gym. It's a
Yeah.
nice gym. It's all classes. I did feel included when I went there as well.
Yeah.
But I didn't see many people that looked like me
Yeah.
because the accessibility there is the money at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
Yes,
of
So
course.
how is it more accessible for people like queer people of color to come through? Like how can they get in? How do they get in there?
It's so funny because when you think about any gym, they do not create any sort of optical infrastructure where you can kind of see people in different body types or shades of color. It's like even if the gym has black people or brown people, at the end of the day, they're promoting to Becky and Kevin. And Becky and Kevin look like they're about to go to California and surf and have a green juice.
Yeah.
We don't need that. You don't have beaches and green juice the way you do in California.
Yeah.
I think what we need to do is start realizing that the QPOC community is disproportionately affected by systemic racism and economy. We just don't make that money. So what NDY does is we host a class once a month, and it's free.
Okay.
So you don't have to pay to be there.
Yep.
And hopefully will come to a way that we can create some sort of sustainable infrastructure where we can start to pay to keep the community going. So pay what you can. When we first started, it was like £5 if you could take the class, or £8 if you could afford it, or £10 if you were in a financially all right place, or £20 if you were white.
Yeah.
The ally discount. And we did well, but for me personally, as someone who has built a career in selling tickets for things, it became mentally exhausting. I was going through my own stuff as well. In a way, NDY was born because of the fact that I didn't want to die.
Yeah.
I needed to go through a lot of things and internally, and go through self-work and mindfulness and physical activity to keep myself alive. And I just didn't have the energy to get people to pay to do it 4 times a week. And so right now we're hosting classes at gyms that need to unlearn their bias and unlearn their, the obstacles that they have in creating a safe space for queer people. So with Block, they've created an amazing opportunity for me to come in and consult internally, tell them what works, tell them what doesn't, give them feedback about how the classes are, and they're learning. And they have a way to go as well. I'm not going to say their gym is perfect, but I think that they have been super supportive, and I care about that space very deeply.
Yeah.
But I've also been in there, and it can be intimidating. You immediately walk in feeling like you don't belong to any gym.
Yeah.
And there are other gyms that I 100% will give them a free quote about why they're getting cancelled.
Yeah.
I hear it. And what about people, because I guess you just mentioned about not looking like, Ken and Becky going to California. What about people who don't look like that? Because it can be intimidating going into gym and maybe you don't feel like you look your best or you feel your best. How do you get people like that into those spaces?
Well, I think the success of NDY is I try to take the class as much as possible. I want people to come to meet me, and then when they come, I ask them questions, find out what they do. Because I work in the cultural industry, let's call it, and I'm a creative producer. Like, I have young kids who've come here from India or Ghana, and they don't really know English, and they haven't really met people, and they want to make friends, but they show me their portfolios and what they're working on. And so I'll like keep it in the back of my mind, and I'll try to get them a job, or I'll invite them to something. I've taken people for coffee or dinner and like had conversations about like why their dreams are actually a potential reality. And I am very proud that one of the NDY kids who came regularly said they wanted to go to Korea and teach English, and now they're there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You're going above and beyond.
But it's like, you gotta nourish the kids.
Yeah.
Like, we don't have role models. We lost all of them during the AIDS epidemic. Like, we were stigmatized and we were erased, and then we were deleted. And our histories are only tragic.
Yeah.
And that's only been perpetuated by queer history and cinema. No queer story ends positively.
Yeah.
And only things that we can relate to are the villains.
Yeah.
I love being a villain. Yeah.
And there's so much queer joy, like you said, so it's
Yeah.
important that we archive some of that in our history, so everyone is 20 years down, 30 years down, they can see, okay, this happened, but then it got better eventually.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
It's super, super important, and I think it's difficult because I can't give you a straight answer, lol. I can't tell you that if you walk into a gym, you won't feel black. If I walk into a gym, I won't feel Asian. If someone meets me, they see my name on the membership screen saying Ryan Lange, they will hear my voice, I sound American, they'll immediately start going through their own pyramid of why I'm okay and palpable. And I just can't have that anymore.
Yeah.
I need to go sit down with these coaches, whether it be from sport brands or fitness spaces, and be like, let me take the class and let me see where we get triggered.
Yeah.
I mean, most commonly when you walk into a gym class, people say, all right, ladies, come on, guys, let's go. And that's not how we operate. We should go people, group, team. And other things that I always talk to people about who participate in the NDY classes are how we shouldn't start dealing with trauma in order to create success. So like on the mat, they'll be like, oh, have an extra sit-up, or you can do this last sit-up and then afford that glass of wine tonight. Or like, then you can get that big burger, greasy burger, or that plate of nachos. Like, you don't need to do that. You don't know who's here trying to fix their body and heal themselves and fix their health.
You don't know why as well. You don't know why they're there.
So basically just empathy, isn't it?
Yeah, so with the classes, what kind of class is it? Because I heard that there's a voguing class. There's a voguing class in there. I know there's a voguing class at Block, but I don't know if it's part of NDY. But there is actually a voguing class at Block, and I'm going.
I think voguing's really fun, and I think voguing's an important part of our popular culture at the moment, but I think it's like heavily miscredited. And so I've spent a lot of time making sure that NDY doesn't start appropriating like nuances that are popular in order for us to get people there. And so I purposely will do a hit class to R&B music or hip hop music that will incorporate aspects of voguing. But it's not about a voguing class. I don't want people saying that and then be like, oh, can we do a heels class and can we do this? It's like, the point is you need to walk into the gym and learn how to master your body, fix your body for all the things you do wrong, whether that be texting and scrolling on your phone poorly so you have upper curvature of the spine, like not knowing which way you cross your legs, how it affects the other hip. Like, learn about your body and then start to refine it and then master something. And so this is an entry point for people to start to be active.
Yeah.
It's not about being popular and having fun. And I'm so sorry to suck the fun out of it.
No, but it's still fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but if I hear the tunes,
I feel a bit like Billy Blank.
No, if I go to a hit class and I'm hearing the tunes I hear in Putty Palace, I'm good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm good.
Exactly. Well, you come in and you're like listening to amazing music, like I don't know, like Nicki Minaj comes on at the last bit when you think you can't like do this machine gun boxing, and then you're like, wow, that was great. I want to come again.
Yeah.
Also, it's really, really wonderful to watch like queer people in this space, like with their girlfriends or boyfriends or partners, and all like having fun and egging each other on, and also just failing together, like having fun and failing, like not being able to do it.
Yeah.
Ilsa, who's an amazing trainer at Block, does this thing where they line everyone up at the punching bags, and then they play Toxic by Britney Spears, and like everyone has to be like in plank position with their boxing gloves on, and you have to stay like that until she says Toxic, and then you have to like machine gun punch the bag. And at first you're like, I can't do this, I'm gonna kill myself. And then immediately you're like, actually I know this song and I know when Toxic is coming. And then you start like creating this like modular system of how you're gonna get through the whole moment. And I think it's really fun.
Are we going?
If you're not there now, no problem. But to answer your question though, I really feel like NDY currently is creating the skeleton structure of like a boxing class, a hit class. I think a yoga class is really great. What we did at another gym that was called Fly Yoga. They have a massive like IMAX style screen at the beginning of the class. So like this whole wall would be a screen. And so we lit incense and we had mats everywhere and we played a beautiful montage of Bollywood movies. And I curated a Hungama playlist of like all of these Bollywood songs and moments from the films. And so when you walked in, we decolonized yoga, which is really funny because right now you have like Emma who went to Bali and she like took a yoga class and like won't take her anklet off, but like she wears spandex from whatever brand that she's wearing, and it's like that's really cute, but that's not how we do yoga.
Yeah.
And so to have brown people who are queer in this space, like doing downward dog, lol.
Ciao.
Why of all the positions do I need to say that? Like doing that and actually really feeling like they're connecting to their culture. Because like, I mean, the history of yoga is like 100% ours.
Yeah.
That's so true, and I like the fact that you fuse like the culture, the music, everything. Because I feel like when we go into those spaces, we feel othered. We don't feel like we're meant to be there. So it's really, really important to go in a space and feel like you're supposed to be there. Because if I go there, don't see people who look like me, I might not want to go back.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If
But
I
you won't go back. Look, you didn't go back.
I didn't go back. But if I was hearing, I don't know, like some bashment tunes in the gym, I'd probably go back. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what we were doing
Yeah.
at a gym that I will not name that we were doing a spin class in. We basically started doing these like incredible classes. We did like a Night Dykes spin. We did Harpies spin, which is like the Europe and the UK's only LGBTQIA strip club night. Like they were there and we had go-go dancers and we had like everyone dancing. It was incredible. But the problem is like the obstacle that I'm hitting right now, which I'm going to speak into the mic about, is that queer people need to start encouraging people to get active. Because like if we show them where our money is and our value is, like if you come to an NDY class and give whatever you can to being a member or donating to the ticket, like we can start showing the power of our pink pound. Like everyone loves to take our money.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is start saying that we're going to nourish ourselves and we're going to be careful where our money goes.
I like that. What has been some of the feedback from these classes?
Oh, the feedback has been absolutely incredible. Like it's really nice to hear people who are, I don't want to go too personal so no one feels like they're being exposed, but like I've had a person come to the class who said, hey, listen, like I'm a sex worker and I just don't feel comfortable in gyms and I just don't feel comfortable in changing rooms. I have this weird dysphoria with my body during the day. And I thought that was so interesting. I've had people who come saying that they are in their 50s and 60s, but they don't feel like they can go to a class, but NDY creates a space for them and they can feel like they can meet younger people. I've had so many incredible interactions that I feel like they're not my stories to tell.
Yeah.
It's just like, you can go there and you can just forget everything and just do whatever you need to do, and I just hope to see you again.
Yes. So last about NDY, how can everyone book a class? Like right now, if someone said, okay, I'm gonna go, what do they do?
NDY is hosting their next class on July 7th in this gym, which is going to be really exciting because we're hosting a workshop with some incredible Olympians, which we will not name yet. We'll be announcing shortly. And if you want to know who they are,
I think we're allowed to get into that. Are we allowed to get into it?
We're having a conversation about the importance of visibility of queerness in Olympic sports and how their failures and their queerness led them to greatness. I think it's a conversation everyone needs to hear. And then we'll be hosting the HIT class and then enjoying some light refreshments and some bowls of some sort.
Yeah.
Which will be cute.
So are you going to give us a hint
About who the Olympians are.
I wish I was into scarves and sweaters because then I would get something knitted.
Is that a good hint?
I think it's an incredible hint.
Is it? Then all nodding. All you are nodding.
All the queer
you
people
are
are
nodding.
like, we get it.
Wow, I don't. Do you get it?
Yeah, we know who it is. I mean, but I know who it is, but I mean,
The hint. Hinting. The hint wasn't hinting, I would say, but yeah.
but everyone, you guys got it. Everyone got it.
Everyone get it.
Yeah. You didn't get it.
Sure.
Whisper it.
The audience is awake. They passed the pop quiz.
Okay, good. Well done. I'm glad about that. But I think we got to talk about the map, like, you know, Adidas's new map that is interactive, and that has basically, it just has a list of queer spaces that queer people can go to be active, because I don't think we've had anything like that ever.
Never.
And I think, you know, we've been having this conversation about like not feeling welcomed or not feeling included in spaces. So I think it's a brilliant like new thing that is out now, and you can find it on Adidas London on Instagram and Twitter, and you can find spaces that you can go to. So they've got like football, they've got like football
Stonewall
spaces.
FC,
They've got Romance FC. Obviously, Block is one of them. So that's really, really important.
And the studio as well.
And this studio, it's an amazing studio. So I definitely think that people should check it out. Absolutely.
And I encourage everyone to use the map, engage with the map, show us what's not included in the map, and also start finding out in those spaces who they identify with. Like if there's a non-binary person, if there's a trans person at that gym who needs to be celebrated so more people can know that they exist. I think it's in gyms we need to start asking questions and be like, where is it? If we don't see it, why isn't it there?
Yeah.
And this map starts showing us where they are in their progress and how we can support them. Because if they're successful, we can eradicate the others.
Yeah.
Sorry. I go from
one extreme to the other.
I'm like, hey, get active and then kill everyone.
Yeah. We have looked at the map, and I do hope that there are more spaces that are included on there, because I guess some people want things that are even like on their doorstep. I know when I go to the gym, my gym is like 20 minutes down the road, but I want it to be 5 minutes down the road.
It's a bit weird if someone doesn't run to their gym or like cycle to their gym.
Right.
Like,
You have to get on the bus.
Well, you have to, my PT's in the audience, and I cycled, and he's like, you still have to skip to warm up. I was like, damn it. But, like, it's a situation where like I think that we should start thinking about activity in every day as well. Like you don't just need to go to a gym class. Like it's one of the things that we did for NDY when we first started was we worked with an incredible runner who started a running collective for young queer POC people, and he made us run to all of our favorite gay venues and take a picture and tag NDY in it and then run home. And like it just started the process of moving your body.
Yeah.
I love
That's
that.
a good idea. We get the bus everywhere. We need to do running.
We get the bus to the gym and it's so
You just be
annoying.
in the bus and take a picture and be like, hashtag sweating.
That's Nana.
the little thing,
But the map is great, and I think it's important. And also, like, I really feel the need to shout out CK from Block, who is an incredible yin yoga teacher who is non-binary. And I think if anyone is into that, you should definitely take their class.
Everyone hear that?
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's going to be in class. The next one.
Yeah.
It's going to be fact. I'm going to be there.
I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
You said you were going to get back into the gym. So
I am. They took £40 out of my account. I need to go. I need to go back.
That's amazing.
Cool. So also we have Maya from Pussy Palace as well. So Maya was Skateful Siblings on Sunday, which is last week Sunday if you listen back to this podcast.
Yep.
And check out Maya's TikTok because it's all on there. It's amazing and it's very interactive.
Yeah, definitely. And she talks about the map as well, which is really, really good if you want more information on that. But yeah, I think also like you touched on like lockdown and how that was for queer people as well, because lockdown, I don't think I moved during lockdown.
Really?
Like I was working, I was like on my laptop most times in my bed. It was quite a depressing time, you know, and I didn't move. I didn't even go out for walks. And then even the little things like maybe going out for a walk or maybe like just getting some fresh air, seeing the sunlight is really, really important. So like, what sort of like advice can you give to like people who, especially people at home LGBT people at home who are just having sort of like a rough time? Like what advice would you like give to them to sort of get their mind out of the funk? It's hard. Life is lifing.
Yeah, I mean, life is really difficult. Obviously, we as queer people, we operate from a negative portion of our brain. So like when we wake up, we tell ourselves that we can't before we can. And so like I would say get your favorite quote and like write it somewhere in your bathroom or like your bedroom, and then like something that you can read. That's helped me. I think like self-validation is important. So like, or what you can do is get other people to write why they love you. And then like maybe keep that around the house.
Okay.
And what we did on NDY's website, which is ndyglobal.com, there's an article about, we called it like, I can't for the life of me remember the name of it. But what we did was we created a list. You basically work with your friends to create a list from like 1 to 100 of things that you like to do when you feel like shit. And then you text your friends and say, I feel like shit. And someone will send you the number of on that list, and you do that. So it's allowing your friends to self-soothe you, which was just incredible.
Oh, yeah.
It was really fun because like I tried to do it with a friend as well, but I just ended up eating Doritos all the time. And
That wasn't on the list, was it?
Yeah, now there's no list. Now there's just Henry, my PT. Yeah.
How about you now? Same question to you.
what do I do now? Like, obviously, I'm in therapy because life has been life. But also, like, I'm
The gym took 40 pounds from me.
yeah, they took all the pounds, child. But now, and yeah, it's free therapy as well. So like, I really feel like it's important because I think there's things around us that sometimes we don't know exist. So I think what you're doing is amazing because like now we're able to share and able to get people in those classes. But what I was doing now, I do go for walks. Like I just go outside, have fresh air. Because before I wouldn't even open my curtains.
Yeah.
And I've got blacked out curtains.
Really?
Yeah.
That's really dark.
Yeah. It was dark, literally.
Oh, yeah. Both sides of the word.
Yeah, we recorded our podcast on Zoom during lockdown, obviously, and it was dark. I was trying to look at you. You're in the dark.
Yeah, I was always in the dark. Yeah, but now like I make sure I go
calling
out.
yourself out of it is really difficult. I think another piece of advice I can give is like a lot of us have these unrealistic expectations of what success looks like to us, whether it be about our bodies or our careers or our mental health. Like I just want to be happy. Happiness isn't a destination; it's a journey. And so like what I would recommend people do is like have a goal and just like try to do that for 10 minutes and like just do that for a week for 10 minutes. Like if you're like, cool, I'll go for a walk for 10 minutes and then come back.
Yeah.
Then next week, maybe you'll just want to do 10 minutes again. And then maybe the next week you'll maybe do 15 because you've already been there. I think repetition in a small capacity actually leads to growth.
Yep.
And so like, I mean, Henry, how many push-ups could I do when I first started training with you? Yeah. Six. And how many can I do now? Don't say 7. Okay, yeah, there you go.
Really
and
good.
that's how many years? That was like a year and a half, 2 years. Yeah, there we go. See, like, there's no way that I can do. Some days I do 20 easily. Some days I can only do 5. Some days I just don't want to do them at all. So I just call in sick.
Did you hear that?
But it's that consistency though, and that honesty. Like when you get a therapist, you have to be honest. And like when you get a PT or someone that you work with, you need to be like, this is how I'm actually feeling. You don't need to perform to them. They just want to help you. And like so, acknowledging that as the queer community is super important.
Yeah.
And like our queerness is like the reason why we're going to be great, and it's going to unlock something that no one thought possible.
Yeah.
But the reason why we won't find that is because we're not allowing it to happen within us.
Yeah, definitely.
I
I think that for me as well, even having spaces and whether that's virtual and in-person space, that was really good for me and my mental health during the lockdown because obviously a lot of time I was just in my room and my room is small. My room is small.
Is it dark?
So, no,
Not
my room
like
is
mine.
my window is bigger than Nana's. And so for me, it was just virtual spaces, whether it was on like Clubhouse or whatever it was. Like especially we did a Clubhouse every single Friday, and all these people we've never met before, we just tell them our business, and they tell us their business.
Yep.
Yeah.
And now we've met them in person. We've made friends, and for me, like community is where I feel really good. Just because we share the joy, we share some of the bad things that we go through as well, and we hold each other. So for me, it's just about community.
I think it's important as well because like oftentimes when you're going through it, you kind of isolate yourselves from like other people and your family and friends, and you're just in this dark hole by yourself. But actually getting out and being around the people is really, really important. So even like the classes that you do, just being able to interact with people, going through the same kind of similar journey of like fitness and wellness is really important, I think. So yeah, that's incredible.
I think you are right, 100%. I do think it's important that we identify what a healing space is that has people in it, and what our idea of community is when it comes to who we are, especially as queer people of color, because we've created all these spaces that inherently have this hierarchy of cool, and all of a sudden you're like, you feel like you're okay in that space, and then when you're on your phone, you're like, why'd they get that paid partnership? Why'd they get that like? Why are they going viral? Oh, their TikTok's blowing up. It's like, we need to like disengage from that whole entire concept, and we need to start realizing that sometimes you just need to be around people who see you, people who just really are like, are you okay, or checking in with you. I mean, I can empathize with you when I stayed in London because I was going to move during lockdown, even though it wasn't allowed, and I decided to stay because I was like, I built Hungama and I just can't leave these kids here. Like, I'm running this Instagram account, and for it to go silent is just not the way forward. And NDY was just like starting, and I was like, do I need to do this? I lived in a little flat that I was fortunate enough to afford, but I just never saw the sky. And so like, it wasn't until I moved out only recently that I realized that I couldn't see the sky every day. And so my room was just as dark as yours, but it was during that darkness that like I used Zoom in that capacity. It was, you both were hosting your podcast through Zoom. I just want to make sure that as we sit here and this audience is sitting in front of us, that we don't just sit here and celebrate our work and how amazing we are. It's like, you're all amazing for showing up, first of all. And it's really important that like when you speak to each other, get to know each other and support each other. Like, our community is only strong if all the threads in the tapestry of who we are strong as well.
Yeah. I think for a lot, for me personally, it's not about sort of like who's cool and what the partnerships are and stuff like that. Like that's not what's important. I think when it comes to me and like who I think in my tribe, my community is like my close knit friends.
Yeah.
Checking on me, like, you know, what's going on, and like
We're
finding
today.
solutions. Like they're right here. Do you know what I mean? And that's really, really important.
Well,
So
when most of us queer people don't get a choice to leave the house, like we leave because we want to save ourselves and we have to go find ourselves. So we end up in these large metropolitan cities that don't have our best interest. And so when we're here, we make these friendships that are usually transient. Like, oh, I've been here for like 12 years and I've only now can count 5 people on my hand that I consider my core. And those are people who worry about me if I'm not last seen on WhatsApp. And that's important. You gotta have people who are like, hey, no, I got you, I'm gonna stick around.
Yeah.
Let's go to an NDY class.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
And I think that what Adidas is doing is amazing because this activation is actually happening in New York as well. So it's soon. So if anyone's listening from New York, do follow the Instagram pages, social media, check the website, because I think what Adidas is doing is going to end up being worldwide. It'd be amazing for everyone. For us, imagine we went somewhere to another country and this was available.
access it.
And we could access it. It's not something we just at home. You can feel at home wherever you go as a Black or Asian, queer person, wherever. Yeah. And that would be amazing, wouldn't it? It would be amazing.
yes, 100% agree. Yeah.
So
I'm
now,
for it.
so audience, the floor is yours.
Questions. Don't be shy.
I think the audience weren't really sure. So
Yeah.
we actually have a segment now for some questions for you guys to ask us. So if anyone's got any burning questions, please do ask now.
Yeah, don't ask all at once.
So that question was about whether the spaces on the maps are accessible for people who are less able maybe to use stairs, anything like that.
We don't really come from an accessible
World.
city planner. The fact is that like we're in London, one of the oldest cities in the world. Everything is a small alleyway, staircase, or like absolutely no ramp. And so with NDY, what we like to do is work with the gyms to give that information of what accessibility they currently have. And then I always feed back to them saying how we need to fix their accessibility. Because someone being able to use one area of the space and not being able to get to the toilet or get to the changing room is just simply not acceptable.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
And so if we don't all agree that we can't validate that space or verify that space until that's fixed, then we won't solve the problem.
I just always think that all spaces should automatically be
Yes.
accessible all the time. Like, it doesn't matter what the space is. I think the world it needs to just be automatically accessible. Like it being a second thought is a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate you asked that question because I've been thinking that as well. So that's a really good question there.
But that's super cool. Super cool that you asked that, and also super cool that we're thinking about that as queer people in this space, because like we have fought so hard to be included, like in a white-centered space, and now that it's like a QPOC-centered space, it doesn't mean that we don't include more people.
Yeah.
There is always more work to be done.
Yeah, always.
So thank you for asking that.
Always.
And
So that question was, what triggered your move to London, Ryan's move to
I
London?
love how it was framed as what triggered your. I always wanted to live in a center of a metropolitan city. When I was growing up, I just felt like Canada and Vancouver was just a bit too. We were just like through osmosis learning about the rest of the world and then bringing it in. I mean, we're just like, in New York they do this, in LA they do that, and I was like, I honestly just want to create culture here, but no one gave a shit about me there. Like I worked so hard to like put on exhibitions and put on like little events and stuff, but they just always hit a glass ceiling. So when I came out of the closet, I still don't know whether I exiled myself or I left home, but my mum was very adamant about how my education would no longer get paid for. And so I just left and started working in a soup kitchen in a hostel, and I just started like saving up money and working as much as I could. And then I was like, girl, I gotta get out of here. I was like, because I can't be doing this, and this is like the beginning of the Monopoly board again, and like I just can't do it. So I found out that I could become British.
That is hilarious.
Yeah. And so I was like, wait, my dad was born in England, so I like used the internet. I think like it was before WhatsApp, before Instagram, before social media. I was literally just like on this like Canadian revenue like government thing, and I just needed 3 pieces of information, and then I remembered that my dad said that I've named you Ryan Lange. So he doesn't sound like that. I don't know why I'm doing that. He said, I named you Ryan Lange because if there's ever anything that goes wrong, you can just use your initial to be me. So I was him. And I got the documents.
It's hilarious.
I got the documents, and within 3 months I had a passport.
Wow.
And then I called my mom and said, I'm moving to London. She said, with what? I have all the documents.
Yeah.
And I was like, I called the Fijian Consulate General and I got your marriage certificate. I got my birth certificate. And I got everything I need to go. So I literally told them within days and I moved here.
Do you know, when you want to do something sometimes, it's sink or swim.
Something was
You're going to do it, yeah.
What I love is the fact that London is a cultural laboratory, and what I like to tell people is that London will never let you do what you want to do. It'll only let you do what you're good at. And the rest of the time, you're just pissing your time away. Like, trying to be other people is not what's going to make you great. Being yourself is what's going to make you great.
100%. I love that. So that question was, Jake Daniels recently came out as a footballer that came out, and what can sports brands be doing to make people more inclusive, more queer people more inclusive into sporting? You know what, I think when you have locker room culture, I used to play basketball, and when you have locker room culture, a lot of, the ignorances and stuff like that, that's where it's built. And I think that sometimes in those locker rooms is where you need to pattern people, I reckon. And so whether that's people calling each other out, people standing up for each other, and sometimes even the coach just coming in and just saying, listen, I don't want to hear anyone said this, I want to hear anyone's done that. Sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes a lot of people look up to their coaches as well. So I feel like if these sports brands work with any coaches, there could be training that's done, consultation can be done as well, just to come in and speak about the things that you shouldn't be doing. I think sometimes even little slurs, you might feel like it's a joke, but that could be triggering somebody's trauma. And so I think, especially that consultation, speaking to queer people as well, people who are not in sports, and coming in and just saying, this is who I am, this is what my experience is, and this is what you can do to make it better, that would help, especially for, even there's a lot of people in sports that don't want to come out. So when I play basketball, we're all lesbians now, but then none of us were lesbians apparently at the time, and it was because of the locker room. It was because of the things that we all used to say. It's because of the slurs we heard, and our coach was even lesbian as well. So imagine if we knew that at the time. Well, we did know, but no one asked her. So imagine if we could just go up to her and speak to her. Like, that was our queen at the time. So that would have been amazing just to speak to her. So yeah,
I think that is good as well. And also, I think obviously we always say that you can't be what you can't see, and I know there's not a lot of queer sports people, but the ones that are out there, we have to put them up. We have to put them up on that pedestal. We have to make sure that they're visible, so that the younger lot who are coming up, who are in these football training camps and all these things, can look up to these people and see, oh my God, it is possible to be queer and to be into sports.
Yeah,
you have to be able to see it to be it.
And we, as the queer community, should find out who these people are who are courageous and brave enough to come out in an industry that is who would like to eradicate queerness, and we support them indefinitely. We champion them. We watch the shows. We watch their challenges. I really don't know sports. Their shows and challenges. Anyways, point is that we need to encourage them to target who oppressed them. So we, in the QPOC community, in the BIPOC community, we basically start calling people out, and that's how we become famous and iconic, is because someone said it, and then now all the brands want to partner with them. So what we need to do is, because they've come out, we need to empower them that they can start tackling the toxic masculinity and assist straight infrastructure, and start telling them that what they did was not okay, and they have the power of our people behind them.
Definitely. And another thing that brands can do, I think that sports brands can uplift those who have decided to come out a bit more as well. Include them in campaigns, let them speak about their stories, and also include their sport. It's not because they're just footballer now. He doesn't really be known as the gay footballer.
Yeah, true.
So that's not his brand. Do you know what I mean? He's a footballer. So it would be good to importantly and safely and intentionally fuse the two together and just make that his brand. I guess he's just a person. Yeah.
True. But it takes time, though. I mean, we need to remember that homosexuality was decriminalized only 50 or 60 years ago here. But if you were to flip that, it's only taken 50 years from it being a death penalty to being something that's celebrated by everyone. And it's and that was through collective unity, visibility, and representation. So imagine how much more we could do in the next 50 years. It's not going to happen quickly, but we all need to wake up and get involved.
Yeah, representation matters.
Yeah.
That's what they say. Yeah. It does.
But not just on an advertisement during one time of year when they decide to paint the rainbow. It's representation matters all the time.
All year round.
Do not spend your money on it if it doesn't have representation.
100%.
But come to NDY. And watch my show. I mean, I want to be.
So that question was, where are there any apps or websites to access any classes for NDY?
So
Especially for
NDY
football,
Global,
especially.
NDYglobal.com is where we house all of our classes. We hit a moment where like it was just one of those things where it was so popular that it started to scale up way too quickly. And when we were asking people to get involved, everyone's like, "Oh, it's such a great idea," and I came to a class, but like. Thumbs up, but it's like that's not going to work. What we need to do now is that people need to access all the classes in the gyms, come to NDY with us, and start meeting other people, and then we as a group can start figuring out what places are offering these skills or these techniques or these sports. And it's like there's no asking me like where can I go play football is like is asking a lot because I don't even know what a sport is. But I mean, did you not just hear me earlier? But what I'm saying is that if you come to the classes and I find that out, I'll investigate for you. I'll do the work, and NDY will do the work. But we need to do it together.
Yeah, definitely. Also, check out Stonewall FC as well. Stonewall FC, they do queer football.
Wait, you knew that, and you let me answer.
You asked about NDY. So check out Stonewall FC.
If you came to the NDY class, I would have that information, and I would have been
We'll be there. July 7th. I hope it's not overpacked, you know. I'm
We'll be there.
Yeah.
We're all going to be knitting.
Any more questions? That question was, where does Ryan feel seen? Podcasting, book? Everybody.
I'm a bit of a culture vulture, so there's moments where I see myself in a lot of things. I'm a bit of a chameleon, but the problem is that once you start to see yourself everywhere, you don't really know who you are. And so recently, I've been sitting with myself, asking myself, what is my favorite color? And I personally, as someone who seems like they're really extroverted, if someone told me to put on music by myself, I wouldn't know what to listen to. And if someone told me to go choose something to eat for dinner, I wouldn't know what I'd want to eat because I've never been allowed to want anything for myself. And so with the discourse of my work, it's always been in reaction to what I thought our people didn't have. And so it's a thankless and also a pleasing. But at the end of the day, I'm still getting to know myself. If I don't want to be on my own, and I don't want to read a book, and I don't want to listen to music. I want to be with people because then I can be like them. But instead, this is the first time in my life that I'm actually being no, I'm just going to be like me.
Yeah, I love that. I love that.
What
about you, Nana?
I don't really think I feel seen just yet. We maybe need to give it 10 years because I think there's still a lot of work for media and films and stuff to do. So I'm really looking to see more of me in things, and that's why I started filmmaking, because I want to see myself in things.
And I wanted to see myself, and that's why I'm on my new TV show, Crowd Party Agency on BBC 3.
9 p.m.
But that's actually really funny that you say that, because I was on a reality show on Netflix recently called The Big Flower Fight.
Yeah.
And when we got a phone call to do it, it comes back to what you're saying. I was able to do anything for anyone. So when they were like, can you be a florist? I was like, yeah, of course, I'll do whatever you want. And I went on there and I ended up winning that whole show. But the reason I did it was because of the fact that I never saw anyone like myself completely out of their depth. And I was like, even if I fail, at least I tried. And if I'm good at it, I'll succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really cool.
But just don't give up on yourself while you're trying to find yourself.
Yeah.
But I think another place, actually one place I do feel seen is I'm seeing music now. I'm seeing I'm hearing music, and I'm hearing women using, she, her pronouns for their love interest, and I love that. That's one thing that makes me really happy now these days. So
yeah, I see myself in Cat Burn's music video.
Yeah, you were in Cat Burn's music video.
It was me. But yeah, I mean, do you know what? It's funny because it's about seeing yourself in things. There's so many things about us as individuals. You're never going to see yourself in anything fully. So I think just appreciating that there are differences in each other that's making me feel seen anyway, as it is. I think that we watched 20s on BBC, and and that has a black masculine presenting a woman in it, and they're American. Do you know what I mean? I see myself to a certain extent in it. We have a different culture here, and they want to be a filmmaker. Maybe Nana says, I'm not going to be a filmmaker, but that is, do you know what I mean? So there's different things that you see yourselves in. But I think it's important when you see yourself in a little bit of it. It's okay. It's okay if it's just a little bit. Do you know what I mean? But it needs to be something.
You're absolutely right. If you find a fraction of yourself in it, that just means that you have more to add.
Yeah.
And then, you're a full picture, and you're multifaceted. And so if you're oh, I kind of see myself there, that means get deeper in it.
Definitely.
If you kind of see yourself in a boxing class, keep boxing.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? I went to a boxing class, and boy.
When did you go to a boxing class?
Do you know what?
You were supposed to go to a boxing class and they're taking money out of the account. Taking money out of your account,
You
babe.
baited me out now. I signed up to the membership, and it was one of the contract ones, and I went to 2 classes for the whole year. I was paying for the whole year. Anyway, Anyways,
That's what we need to
one
come
more
to your
question.
classes.
Yeah.
Yep.
One more, yeah.
Well, mine are free, so you can't complain.
I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there. One more question. That question was asking if brand like Adidas, how can they get involved with the queer community, just to support us and uplift us outside of brandings and sports and stuff like that?
I am going to give you 2 answers. And the first one is that I'm already humbled by Adidas' contribution to NDYS success and giving us a space and also like giving me a voice in the community, as I never dreamt in my life that I would ever be sitting here in collaboration with Adidas. But I was the kid at the equivalent of JD Sports in Canada begging my mum for a pair of Adidas track pants and a track jacket that we couldn't afford. And I just really remember it because it was black with yellow stripes. And I was like, I really want it. And she's like, you look like a bumblebee. And I was like, no, please, I really want it. And so fast forwarding 30 some odd years and being able to sit here is like a hugely wonderful thing. So I'm grateful for Adidas. I think what's really important that what Adidas can do that isn't an amount of work, but the quality of work is not trying to put their name on things just so they can say they're doing it. So like this acronym, all day I dream about sports. I think it's important that we start all day I dream about success.
Someone didn't know that.
I was today years old when I figured out what Adidas was.
Yeah, I think just to add as well, it's just important to get involved in things within the community. Like, do you know what I mean? Just things that we're doing every single day, and just not making like a huge, just not a huge deal, because that's our everyday lives. Do you know what I mean? So just make it a part of your everyday mission as well.
We wear it every day because some of us can't afford anything else, and some of us, we wear it every day because of the fact that we aspire to be in something. And so if we're going to wear your logo, just make sure you got our backs.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's a beautiful way to end this podcast. Okay, thanks for coming, everybody. And everyone that's listening on Spotify, thanks for listening. Make sure you listen to Tutu's podcast next week, Wednesday. Make sure you use the hashtag Tutu's podcast and conversation on the Twitter. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. Rate us on Spotify. And until next week, peace.